from TV that night. good?
Yeah, yeah, Pat is okay.
She's doing okay. She's had I didn't test with Jason. Hey, Jason, I didn't test with you. You hear us and see us okay?
Hear you and I see you.
All right, thank you. Sorry. There we go.
There we go. Okay. And Mr. Anola, can you hear us now?
I can hear you.
Okay. And it is 6 o'clock. It looks like we are live on Zoom. We've got folks here in the audience, and we will go ahead and call the meeting to order. And Craig, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And Kathy, roll call, please.
Mayor Bean.
Here.
Councilmember Chapman.
Here.
Councilmember Furby. Here. Councilmember Scanlon is excused. Councilmember Skug.
Here.
Thank you. We'll move on to public comment. This is limited to 5 minutes per person. And if you would like to speak, I'll have you move up to the podium, and we'll wait until the camera gets turned around. Okay, and there's no one on Zoom. If you speak, please state your name and address, and then you will have 5 minutes. And if there's no one on Zoom, then we'll move to here in the room.
Sounds good. Matt Trigo, Duke Engineers Architects, 424 South Pine Street. I have just an agenda packet, didn't make it to the right people in time last week due to the holidays and our public hearing and coordinating all that. So I just wanted to give everybody just like a brief, I'll keep it real short, just like update on the projects that we're working on. Empire Street, for example, is moving ahead quickly with our anticipated completion in August or September. No issues or outstanding discussion items there. Malton Road Campground is also progressing. Oil broke ground. They're in the process of upgrading and roughing in roads to complete the project. That's one of the first steps. So they're in the beginning stages of that project. The clean water and drinking water revolving fund applications were both submitted and complete to Eagle, and we're awaiting feedback from the state on both of those applications. Once we get the feedback on both of those projects, we'll be coming back to the city council and discussing what options we have to move forward, if that's USDA development or if that's drinking water revolving fund. So we're expecting more information on both of those over the course of the next 3 months. We are also in the process of coordinating with the USDA rural development folks just to get a general idea and be prepared when we do hear back from the state on what our implications would be from the feds as far as water and sewer funding goes. Drinking water asset management grant, that was that $660,000 grant that we got from the state to do our DSMI report. We had our kickoff meeting with Bill and Brad and Tribe Media last week, and we're in the process of getting that project started, and we're just waiting to get some information from Tribe Media so that the city staff can start completing their tasks for that project. And Lake Bancroft, we have been in pretty much constant communication with the Eagle staff about both the aeration and the application of the polymer, both of which are going to require permit applications. We are trying to convince Eagle staff that all of the work necessary for aeration is above and beyond what is prudent. And so we're going to try to articulate that to a letter and send that to Eagle staff so that we can try to greatly reduce the amount of legwork that has to be done to get the aeration units approved, because we believe that's a pretty practical first step. And we're also going to be working on submitting the permit for the application of polymer. So last page of it, of this handout, just includes Moyle's preliminary schedule for the Malton Road Campground. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Okay, is there anyone else for public comment? Okay.
Good evening. My name is Rebecca D'Onofrio. I was born and raised in Negaunee, Michigan. My grandparents lived in Ishpeming. I went to St. John's Church. I want you to take a good look at me. I'm 64 years old, I'm disabled, and I am being abused. I am being abused by the police department in the city of Ishpeming. Does anybody know what the pattern of practice is? Why?
He asked you to repeat what you said. Does anybody
Does
understand?
anybody understand what the pattern of practice is? It's a repeated pattern. And that's what the Ishpeming Police Department does. And that's what the new city manager does. You know what? And how about malfeasance? Does anybody know what malfeasance means? It's government officials and employees that harm people intentionally. I'll tell you what, you can discriminate against me. I don't care. But it's about time that somebody comes forward and let you know what's going on in this city. I can tell you, I got a handful of people that are being harassed by the Ishpeming Police Department. They stop them for no reason. No reason. Pull them out of bed at midnight. 3 babies in bed sleeping. And they go pull somebody out of bed on a school night. What about honor and respect? Do I even care? Do you care about me? Nobody cared about me. I'll tell you what. On February 25th, on 2017, I was attacked in Wells Fargo Bank by the store manager, Janet LaJoy. For why? Because they work for Wells Fargo. Bad business behaviors, opening accounts, unauthorized accounts, embezzling money. And then, let's go on. I was in a car accident. Again, I've gone to the Ishpeming Police Department to ask for help. They don't help. They abuse you. They call you mental and delusional. I am not. I am not. I'm a Me Too movement person. And it's about time something gets done. On 125/20, I was in a car accident. I might have been at fault, but the person that was driving, he failed to maintain security. He had no car insurance. Totaled my car, threw me in the snowbank, I busted the window with my head, and they didn't even call for assistance for me. I could have been hemorrhaging. They said, Becky, you look fine. I was not fine. I could have been hemorrhaging inside. But they didn't call the fire department. They didn't call the ambulance. They did nothing. And then to find out, they didn't check his insurance. Oh, the past chief said they didn't have the capabilities of looking into his insurance. That's a lie. Of course they did. I'm friends with a deputy. His car should have been impounded and he should have been ticketed. But no, they let him drive away. They let him drive away. And then on 9/16 of 2021, same individual, same thing, caught driving. Caught driving. But you know what? This time, the police officers did their job. They did their job. They did run him, and they found out, again, failure to maintain security. You know what? I took this individual to court, and I am still pursuing it. Because you know what? My life mattered. Black lives matter, my life matters. I'm angry because you sit here and you let that police department get away with murder. And there has been murder in Ishpeming. And it's all pushed under the rug. Who killed that girl that they found in the pit? Nobody yet, right? Because it's a citizen in Ishpeming, probably. Somebody related to one of you on the panel. This is enough. It really is enough. You know, and I passed out Jason Sadowski, another victim. And look what the Ishpeming Police Department did. How many things did they fail? You know, it goes on and on and on and on. Do you know how many people are being psychologically abused? It's called legal abuse syndrome. You know what? I'm telling you right now, I will sue the city because you're allowing these bad behaviors.
And could you state your address for the record, please?
Okay, right now, I moved to Green Bay, 445 Cardinal Lane, Unit 318, Green Bay, Wisconsin.
Thank you.
And one other thing, Lee Johnson, the administrator at Norlake Nursing Home, gave somebody $100,000 to cover a crime. That's why I was abused.
Okay, your 5 minutes is up. Thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment?
Claudia Demarest, 821 Marie Street, Ishpeming. I was just wondering, you have on here monthly financial statement report. Do you ever get a report anymore? And is the public allowed to get that report?
So to answer that, we have been working through what that report looks like as we've been in transition with our finance director, treasurer, deputy treasurer, and working with Plant Moran. And I do believe in looking through this that we have a more substantial reporting for finances this evening than we have had in the past couple of months.
Because on the 8 years I was on the council, there were several months that we didn't get one. And we finally had to take it off of the agenda because how can you as a council approve a monthly financial statement report if you don't get one? You don't know how much money you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else for public comment?
My name's Clint Cotter, I live on 930 Wabash Street. I just found out about this meeting like an hour or so ago.
Can you repeat your first name again? I
Yeah,
missed.
Clint, C-L-I-T. I live down on 930 Wabash Street. Just want to bring to your attention to see if we have a playground across from, on Lower Wabash where 9th Street connects, it's a circle down there. We have our own little playground down there. And our basketball court is completely unsafe to even have kids play basketball on it at all. It's not being used at all. I don't even let my kids play on it because there's grass growing through it that's cracked. On the north side, there's a big patch like 4 by 6 feet that's like 6 inches down. And all around the circle, I just drove around today, that there's 7 different basketball courts that people have in their yards, is the kids can't play, in a playground. So I just wondered if possibly the thing could be just ripped up since it is a hazard, it's unsafe for kids to play on, or if it could be replaced, which would be the best move. I'll pay for the backboard, rim and everything to go there. I'm involved in Ishpeming basketball program for the youth. And it's just one of those things that are in the section of town where that we need a basketball court where the kids cannot just play at their house, where they go out and shoot for a little bit, but when they can go as a group and play against each other.
Yeah, I think that's something that could be looked at and discussed. I think that Craig's taken notes, I've got notes, and probably Bill for the Parks and Rec Board, I think is where that would land. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of new methods of raising some funds for that kind of stuff. So that's definitely something we should look into.
Okay.
Yep.
So I think it's very important too at Ishpeming. It's just not, it's for the sports as a whole, just for at Ishpeming. The 7th grade basketball team this year had 5th and 6th graders playing on it. Our 4th grade basketball team, we had 2nd and 3rd graders, because we only had 4 4th graders playing. And as we go down in the future, if we're not enough kids playing basketball for sports, people might not leave, which you're not going to lose the tax base on, but their kids might go to other school districts. But like my kids that absolutely love basketball, not playing basketball. That if we don't have enough kids play basketball, am I going to keep my kids in a school district, or am I going to go to Westwood or Nagani just so we can play sports?
Is this the playground? I think I've spoken with a resident there, and I know Craig's aware of this too, is I think Bruce Asgard lives around there. Yeah, I know, yeah, we are definitely.
Yeah, most people don't know there's a park back there, just swinging and it's a nice basketball court, but it doesn't need to be the 2 baskets on the north or south side, just one side would be great.
I know Craig is aware of this. He's been
There is
looking.
cracks, they actually have to weed whip the thing, and cracks, and there's grass, and, it's kind of bad where kids play in the neighborhood and they can't play on it, they don't even let the kids play on it. So either if you could remove it, get rid of it, or hopefully that you can get a new slab, either, pavement down or cement on it. Would be great.
Yeah, Craig's been looking into this already. He's been doing a good job on it.
We do have some new hoops down at the play lot by the playgrounds as well.
That's it.
And we put cameras on those as well, so it's a safer place for the kids. So
Because the backboards right now, I think they're originally from the first Gus Macker that came to Ishpeming in the late 90s.
Yeah.
And the wood's all punchy and all that the rims could even possibly fall down. It's just not safe right now for kids. It's a shame, it's a nice park.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Is there anyone else for public comment? Okay. Can we just do a check on Zoom and make sure that no one has joined in this time? Okay. All right. So if there is no additional public comment, then we will close public comment and move on to item number 5, which is approval of the agenda.
Your Honor, I would like to approve the amended agenda with the exception of number 19 moving up to 8.5 as requested.
Okay. And support for approving the amended agenda? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. And move on to number 7, the consent agenda has, agenda comment, sorry. Agenda comment, number 6, if there's anyone who is here who would like to speak to a specific agenda item, you can do so at this time. It's limited to 3 minutes per person. Is there anyone on Zoom for agenda comment? Okay, and no one in the room for agenda comment? Okay, then we will move on to item number 7, consent agenda, of which there are 4 items. Minutes of previous meetings, June 8th, 15th, and 28th, approval of disbursements, declare miscellaneous furnishings at the library as surplus, and special event application for Buzz the Gut on August 13th, 2022.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We will move on to number 8, which is the monthly financial statement report.
Okay, so Joe was hoping to do the first version of the more extended finance report, but unfortunately he's unwell. So I'm going to just read from I think, the highlights from it, really. So Anderson Tackman completed their audit and submitted it to the State Department of Treasury. All of required end-of-year reports have been completed and submitted, including Act 65, Act 202 reports to Treasury, and Act 51 report to MDOT. Annual qualifying statements for the city were also filed. All city funds ended in black. The positive fund balances were mainly due to higher than anticipated revenues from state sources and grant funding. New construction and the issuance of pension bonds also had a significantly positive impact on the overall net position of the city. The city's net position, accounting for the total value of assets less the liabilities, increased by 2.49 million in 2021. Over the last 3 years, the investment into the city has more than doubled compared to the previous 3-year period. There is one deficiency being reported in the audit. This is for the city expenditure exceeding the planned budget, and that's because we didn't make an adjustment to the campground budget, but we actually did have some spending on the campground in 2021. This would normally have been picked up if we had had a finance director in place at the time and adjusted, and it was missed, well, which is why it didn't happen. Okay, so, and yeah, we are starting work on, or the Joe is starting work on next year's budget. He's had a meeting with heads of departments, and I guess the other thing to report is that taxes have just opened, so we're experiencing a higher volume than usual in the front office. I'd like to thank the staff. We've had issues with the county uploading the tax database, so front office staff were basically pretty heroic for the first couple of days of taxes. So I'd just like to draw the council's attention to that. I think that's it.
So Anderson Tackman has completed their audit and submitted it all to the state. Typically, they have done a report for us, usually in June. I understand that things are a little shifted this year due to a rearrangement. Are we expecting a report presentation to us from them?
Yes,
Yeah.
we asked if they could do it tonight, but they were not prepared. They said that because of some of their staff on leave and other things going on with the holidays, that they would be available after the July 11th date.
Okay.
So we could schedule a special just for that, or we could put it into the next month's regular agenda.
Okay. Jason?
I'd just like to just say one thing. You know, it's been a difficult couple of years with COVID and whatnot, and to see that all of our fund balances are in black and doing good is a testament to the leadership in the city and our staff. So well done.
And I just add that to the comment that was made and the question about the previous financial report that was provided to us at meetings, and then the transition period that we've been going through. And you know, I think we've had a lot of discussion at this point in the meeting, pretty much every month for the past several months, about the fact that the report that we previously had been provided and approved on a monthly basis was not particularly all that informative as to what was actually happening with finances on a day-to-day basis. And so as we continue to transition, I think that our goal, I think everyone's goal, is to provide a report at this meeting that is more meaningful and more generally or widely understood. But in the time of that transition, we do have lots of eyes keeping tabs on the finances, and I don't believe that there's any reason for concern to not have an overview, particularly one that's not all that useful, provided to us.
With that in mind, I should add, and I should have said before, banks are now reconciled to the end of May. So we're within a month, and moving forward, we will be reporting on within a month, which I think is an improvement on anything we managed even before, so.
Excellent.
Yeah, and other communities, are in the red right now, and I feel like we've spent a lot of money on new things, but I think the way that we've been able to do that is through all the grants and stuff. So, Craig, you've done a really good job. To see a 2.49 million increase is amazing. So with that, I'll make a motion that we approve the financial report as submitted.
Is there support? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Thank you for that information. Okay, then that moves us to item 8.5, which is the Planning Commission recommendation to approve an irrigation well for Partridge Creek Farms. I believe we have a letter there from Al, and as a member of the Planning Commission, this was discussed at the June meeting. And Matt, I'll let you explain this, or.
We have May here to kind of give us a breakdown on everything that's going on with the site and the what and why.
And the way this is, it's in this gray area of doing business because it's unusual. It's sort of an exception to the rule because we don't normally see wells being tapped. This is non-potable water for irrigation for a particular farm and would never be considered for consumption. And so this is where this consideration is aligning for the conversation.
Okay, it's although it's the purpose of digging the well specifically for agricultural purposes. So I'm going to use the opportunity, if I can, to take 1 minute to quickly update you all on where Partridge Creek Farm is. As you know, we have 6 gardens around the city. We have 20 people in the city picking up salad shares. 10 of them are SNAP EBT, so really making sure we're supporting people who otherwise couldn't afford healthy fruits and vegetables. And we really want to grow that program, and part of that work is increasing our growing of food. And so we can't just continue to grow food in little garden boxes in the community. We actually, over the next couple of years, we're going to transition those community gardens to community members growing in them, just like a traditional community garden does. And we really want to focus our time on building out the farm. So the intergenerational farm is part of the Jasper Light Senior Housing Facility. To get the HUD funding, those tax credits, they agreed to lease us that property for $1 a year for a long-term lease. And so we've received MDAR Rural Development dollars for 2022. So we have $100,000 and a $30,000 match already ready to go. And we were getting ready with our plan. We met with Bill, just to kind of talk through, because we thought it was pretty important for DPW to know what we were doing. And so in this conversation, the irrigation wells came to our attention. And we thought this is a really, really important thing to explore, given that we will be growing upwards of 10, 20, 30,000 pounds of food for the community a year. And so that takes a lot of water. So, yep, so I'm gonna turn it over to Matt.
I got one real quick question. I've heard from several of the residents at the apartment building, and they're excited about this, but the one thing they're all asking me is, are you guys gonna put any picnic tables over there for them?
So, if you look at the plan that Matt passed out, there's several spaces, including a hidden greenhouse that's gonna be carbon neutral aligned with eventually, not immediately, but with Governor Whitmer's healthy climate action plan. We're gonna have a parking lot where we wanna put a charging station for electric vehicles, and we absolutely are gonna put a covered pavilion and an outdoor classroom. It's gonna be a place that is as beautiful as the people of Ishpeming deserve. So it's not gonna be anything, if we wanna make it state of the art, stunning, so that everybody here can be proud, because Ishpeming residents deserve beautiful, beautiful things.
This number 23 appears to be a cluster of picnic tables.
Yeah, 23 picnic tables, and the wash back station, we've been talking about adding a covered pavilion area to that as well.
That's
Just
cool.
a little bit bigger space. So I haven't told Matt about that part of the design yet, but yeah, we will have a covered area.
You guys are just doing phenomenal work.
Thank you. And we had the director of MDAR come visit the site a month ago. It was really special. So he's really, really excited about what we're doing, wants to come back and really wants to talk with the community. So I know this is something that we really want to get your 100% support behind. So I'm going to bring Matt up here as a person who's much more versed in the architecture and engineering part of this. If you have any questions for me, I feel free to field them, but I think Matt's probably better prepared to answer some of this digging question.
Sounds good. Thanks, man. So the site plan that you have in front of you, this is like a long-term, full build-out and development of the site. This is something that's going to take many years. It's going to take a lot of grant writing and grant coordination. We've done an excellent job of coordinating that already, as you just discussed here with the MDR grant. So the idea is trying to stretch the dollars of the nonprofit as far as we possibly can to have each grant be as impactful as possible. This site will require city sewer and city water as we continue to build the site. That is still going to take place. The irrigation water is purely for the agricultural element of the site. One, to allow us to move forward with the project, and two, to actually make it a financially viable project moving forward. So, you know, we have this as our current vision. Our vision continues to change as we get feedback from the public and feedback from the different, I'd say, consultants that we use and the different experts that we kind of use. You know, this continues to get tweaked. Partridge Creek Farm has added a farm manager on board, an educational manager on board. That their input will also drive some potential revisions to this. This is kind of a living document, but as you can see, the site will have a very large positive impact on what is currently a blighted location. And yeah, we're going to continue this effort until we are complete, and the support of the city council will be a big step forward. So with that, I guess, Dana, I can turn it over to you. Any questions, comments on the project or on what we're looking to do?
I don't have any questions. I don't know if anyone else does. Okay. I think it's pretty straightforward.
So do we have to have a motion to approve this, or is this something that is already just going ahead?
I think technically we need a motion.
Yeah, I would think. Yeah,
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed irrigation well for Partridge Creek Farms at Jasper Light Apartments pending the attorney review.
Okay. Was that support? Okay. All right. All those in favor of the irrigation well for Partridge Creek Farms, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then we are on to item number 9, which is public hearing for Iron Ore Heritage Recreation Authority right-of-way easement along Washington Street. And so it is 6:32, and we will open the public hearing. So this is the second time we've seen this, is that correct? This was on the last one, and so this is to,
This is the
Uh,
connector.
the
for
connector.
the, property that they're going to, they acquired from Dan Perkins, that they're going to put a trailhead, new trailhead in. And it gives them the connection from the trailhead to the existing trail along the shoulder of Washington Street.
okay. Is there anyone here who would like to speak on this topic? Is there anyone on Zoom? Nope. Okay. And if there is no public input, then we can close the public hearing. It is 6:33, we'll close the public hearing. And do we need to take any action on this?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right, then we will move on to item number 10, which is the second reading of amendment to ordinance 8-100 map amendment, general residential to general commercial. And this is the area for the rezoning request for the property which is now currently operating as the Ish Creamery.
That section of 3rd Street, which also includes the old Oasis gas station.
Ah, okay.
Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we approve the amendment to the ordinance, chapter 8-100.
Stu with a second on that. So all those in favor of the amendment to ordinance 8-100, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Then we're on to number 11, Lakeshore Roundabout MDOT Project Agreement Checklist.
So this is a checklist that is part of the MDOT process. We're very far along in this process of construction of the new traffic circle at the Jubilee intersection on Lakeshore and 41. But there's a couple things that are council action in order to make sure that it is or is not included in the process. So the first one is to acknowledge by council that we would be receiving ownership of lights and the bills, utility bills associated with that, the light pole that goes in at that traffic circle. That's pretty typical, or it is now standard that we did that for the other 2 traffic circles as well, that once the project is complete, the city is the owner and operator of that, and we pay the EPCO bill for it. And then the second is that there is a potential to add irrigation lines to the traffic circle. They're not projected to be connected as part of this project, but to be stubbed across the highway and into the circle, so that should we add a garden or something and we want to be able to water that, now is the time, pretty much the only time we won't be able to channel across the highway again. And that has a cost decision of $4,500. So we would ask that the council decide whether you do want irrigation. We do have it in the other traffic circles. We do manage that already in making sure that they get flushed and that they don't freeze over the winter, but this is the time to make that commitment and let the MDOT project manager know that we are going to pay that $4,500. The likelihood is that that won't even occur until 2024 because the project's going to start in 23 and end in 24, and that's probably one of the last things that will happen in the traffic circle. So it'll be in a budget decision for 23 or 24 for $4,500.
Your Honor, how do you want me to word this? Because I'll make that motion.
Well, you would approve the future budgeting of $4,500 for the irrigation,
Okay.
and then you would acknowledge ownership of the utilities.
Okay. Your Honor, I'll make a motion that we accept the project agreement checklist here and plan for a total of $4,500 for irrigation and accept the the lighting and sidewalks, et cetera, that we will maintain ownership. Figure out how to work.
And forward Joel.
Why?
Well, by speaking, I believe you just seconded it.
Yeah, I mean, it's by law.
Yes, I think that makes sense to approve the irrigation costs for
I do
that.
too.
And so
We have
with,
volunteers that maintain that do such a wonderful job on the other ones, and I'd be remiss if I didn't support what they're doing.
it's a,
What would your recommendation be? As far as the water, if you're ever planning on doing a garden, that's enough. We will not be enough.
think in the scope of the project, $4,500 is pretty minimal
I would
to
agree.
to have that as an option. So with Stu's support, all those in favor of approving, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Is that a roll call? Okay.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Furby?
Yes.
Councilmember Skug?
No.
Mayor Bean?
Yes.
Motion passed 3-1.
All right, and then number 12, I believe we are not taking any action on this evening. Is resolution number 9-2022 to comply with state election law, revise the city charter regarding the date for filing nominating petitions, and we can't revise the city charter by resolution, and there is more information coming on this.
Well, we've received some additional information since this was all put together, and for the nominating petitions, you don't need to do a resolution. So I'd recommend no action.
Okay. How easy that would be if you could change the city charter by resolution. All right, moving on to number 13. Recommendation from the Campground Committee for the campground name of Brasswire Campground.
And so the campground committee has thrown a couple conversations out, and in the end, everybody kind of liked the term Brasswire Campground, and the reason is that it's direct proximity to the old Brasswire ski jump, which is directly across the street, which under the trust fund grant that we received for some area of land that's protected and being used by the Iron Heritage Trail in that same area, there's a space that's sort of carved out already for doing a monument and recognition of Brasswire ski jump. So it seems fitting to do that. The committee had no negative responses to Brasswire, several positive, and then some that just said, I agree, versus any comment. But all in all, everybody's recommending that we name the campground Brasswire Campground.
Well, I have to say, I like that because I am a student of history, I guess, and my father has taught me a lot about local ski jumping, and as has former Mayor Tompkins. So I will make a motion to support the recommendation from the Campground Committee to name the campground Brasswire Campground.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. And we are on to number 14, which is the tentative agreement with the Police Officers Association of Michigan.
So the police officers took a vote on the proposed agreement and voted unanimously to support that agreement. That puts us into a first-time 5-year contract agreement. We would just need to ratify it by vote of the council.
Support.
All those in favor of accepting the tentative agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Well done.
Yeah. And thank you to the police officers
Yes.
for the work on this and for stepping forward and for putting together a 5-year contract that is pretty substantial. And we've been sort of piecing these together, extension 1 year since I joined council. And so I think it's pretty exciting and a nice sort of relief
That was painless.
to have
So well done.
something that's a little longer enduring, and we don't have to turn around and do an extension next year.
I
So,
would like to acknowledge that Steve Snowart was a large portion of this. Though he's retired since then, he was engaged in all aspects of this up to the point we are now, and as well as the union themselves and their union representation.
Wonderful.
A very deliberate process occurred with good dialogue and discussion throughout without any real confrontation. So it was a very good process, but Steve was a large portion, and he's not here, but he should be acknowledged for that.
thank you. Did we already vote? I can't remember. Okay. All right, then that moves us to 15, which is confirmed declaring the 1987 JD 790D excavator as surplus for trade-in.
I'll be a motion.
Support.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Number 16 is proposed cemetery software GIS mapping and online search.
I'm gonna ask Bill Anderson to talk to that for you.
Jason also has it on, I hope. He might have a display up there. But this is the GIS for the cemetery. Currently, we use Pontum software to do all of our database. So we got a price quote from Pontum and we got a price quote from Trimedia. They're not apples to apples, but we can kind of make it work. So the $31,300 that Pontum is suggesting is basically the same as Trimedia's $27,600. But it's not going to be where they go out and they actually do GIS, where they GPS the headstones or the maps and everything. That's the second part of Trimedia's. So if you wanted to do everything all at once, the grand total would be $73,000. If you just wanted to do kind of like the display that's up here right now, and if you click on any one of those blue dots, it actually gives you the description of who is there and that. There's also a search bar up in the top, and you can actually just start typing a name. And if there's anything in the cemetery that's close to that, it will tell you who is in the cemetery with that name, and it highlights those boxes, and you can actually go see those. There's a search for different groups, whether it's be the veterans, and it'll give you a list of where all the veteran flags should be posted every year. The suggestion that you can even do this in two different ways. If you don't want to do the $26,000 right off the bat, you could actually do it in half. Say do half the cemetery now and half later. The suggestion that the recommendation from me and Caleb in the cemetery department, and I believe from the cemetery group, is to do the $27,600 just to get the whole mapping done. And it's basically an overlay of our cemetery map on top of our map. So it's spatially, it's gonna be okay, but you're not gonna be able to follow the map directly to it. That would come if you guys decide over the next 6 years to do the tasks 4 and 5 of each one of the different blocks that we proposed.
I do have to say, this is something that I've been asked about. And I guess I had no idea this was coming, but it's something that I'm actually kind of happy to see, because I have been asked about this. And I'm also kind of looking at, Trimedia as a Marquette business and Quantum is Jackson. So I mean, I guess I'm more comfortable going with Trimedia and then eventually working so we can actually have all of them mapped out. And I think that needs to be the ultimate goal.
The other thing I need to bring up, Pontum Pontum is a software group, so you're gonna be paying, if you go with the Pontum, you're gonna be paying $3,800 for annual licensing. My problem with that part is if the company ever goes belly up
Yeah.
or they sell it, you have no idea where your data is. Tri-Media is the city's GPSing firm that we've been using. So all of the licenses that we need are already in place, so they would just be adding more data to our database, and it's our database. That's the biggest drawback to the Pontum series.
Is there a way to, actually pay for that over 6 years? And, so we don't have to have it coming out of one lump sum for that $70,000?
That's what this is. So you would have, if you guys decide to go forward with this, you could either do the 13,000 just to do half of the map, or you could do the 26,000, which would be the whole map. And then on this one contract, it has tasks 4 and 5,
Yeah.
and it tells you each one of the zones. So you could divide each one of these into years.
And my understanding in reading through this, correct me if I'm wrong, is that we would basically at the beginning of 2023, then we'd say, they would essentially come and check and say, we're good to go on this next task, correct?
Correct.
And we would say, we collectively would say yes, and then they would go and it wouldn't exceed, they would work up to that projected amount, not to exceed, but they basically wouldn't begin any task until there was a clear go-ahead. That's the way this is worded.
So my question after, thank you for what you just said, because now my next question is, if we don't agree to all of it now, could that go up in price?
I think there's a 3%, I think there was a 3% increase after 2023.
Yeah, there's nothing guaranteed, but yeah, it probably would. I mean, services go up. And you don't even have to commit to 4 and 5 right now. That could be next year or the following year. And you don't even have to start the 27 this year. If you guys want to postpone this till January next year, that's fine. They're proposing it now because they actually have students available. This is something that, they're actually students in their cemetery right now. They're practicing. So they've been doing a part of this already for free. If you guys go with this, they're ready to jump on board, and this could probably be done before the end of summer. The big map.
And I just like.
And then our Pontum database would be incorporated into this. So it's not like we're wasting our time with the Pontum series. That data that our secretary is working on would actually be incorporated into the Tri-Media.
So we currently have this hosted on Pontum?
We have the data,
Okay.
so like the records and that, but only we can look at that.
So would there be an eventual savings from Pontum if we were to move to this system? Would we be able to eliminate Pontum, and would there be a cost savings there?
I don't believe there's a large cost savings, because what Pontum does is the burial records. This is about mapping and recording where the record is, so by the tombstone. So if a tombstone has 2 records associated, it will show that there's 2 records. But if you want the record data as a city to manage that cemetery, we need to go back to the Pontum data and pull that record data. This is mapping data versus that.
And Tri-Media is going to be working on some, I believe it's in here somewhere. I can't remember where I read it. It's a web-based thing, so that you would be able to click on, like he did, and it would show who it is, and if there's any files that are available, you'd be able to view them. You wouldn't be able to print them or anything. The big difference with the Tri-Media thing is Caleb and them, excuse me, our cemetery guys, don't have to show people where the grave sites are. You can actually look it up on your cell phone. And just like you do right now, if you wanted to go to a business, you type in the address and it'll take you right there.
And I like the idea that we can pay, I'm looking at the breakdowns year to year, and it's a very manageable amount of money year to year. Pay.
And so then where would the funds for this come from?
I believe Joe, who was the,
Is this something that could be even out of the public improvement?
Yeah, so Joe's looked at it, and I think it probably public improvement or general fund options.
Yeah, they're both general funds. He wrote the cemetery maintenance funds.
Yeah, but it says limited funds available, so I didn't know if that meant that there wasn't enough to cover all of it, or,
The 70,000, no.
well, yeah, but like the 7,000 or so for this year.
Generally, the cemetery fund has about $6,000 a year, it's not very big.
Okay,
So, the cemetery maintenance fund, the perpetual care is a whole lot of different option to pull from, I'm not sure that's great, so if you wanted something this year, it's most likely gonna end up out of general fund or public improvement fund.
So then if we do go ahead with the 73,150, the breakdown is the way it is, 6,900 this year, 18,000 also this year, but then it's 10,000 in 2020. I just want to make sure I'm understanding this right.
yeah, it's the bottom number is the full number for the 73, but the second, or the first number is the,
Right, so if you did the 27,000, which is the recommendation, you're gonna get the map that is done, and you'll be able to, just like the one that was up there, you'll be able to find the things. If you decide to do with the GIS mapping and the headstones and all the data that goes along with that, it's the task 4 and 5. So it'd be,
I got you.
you see 22?
Yeah.
If you look at the task 4 and 5, so 22, it would be 18.
and is that what the students who are working there now are working on, is the GIS GPS mapping? Or are they're not working on
They're,
the
no,
other?
they're working on the big map because you have to get the overlays right. So they're over there right now doing a bunch of marking certain structures that are equal
So you
on
can
both
match it,
maps.
yeah.
And they'll be doing their magic to get that done.
Gotcha.
Gosh, I've had so many questions
And
about
the
this.
customer, like, so a couple things, we don't have to make a decision tonight. This
No.
is something that we can say we want to put in the 2023 budget and start in 2023.
But they're there right now.
But they're out there doing stuff right now, which is why Bill asked to bring it forward, is that they've got some students in training and doing some work, and they've, because of the amount of work they've been doing in our town, they asked if they could do their training on our cemetery. So it's a pairing of resources, is why it's coming to you today. The task 4 and 5 is when you begin helping the customer.
Correct.
Which is,
Before that, you're helping the staff. So the mapping piece is all staff work. It's gonna help us to help customers. When Ryan says, hey, I can pull it up on my map and walk you to it, but I can't have you pull it up on your phone, on your app, and let you walk yourself to it until you get to that steps 4 and 5. So this is a phased approach to all of it, whether from mapping to data collection within the system to customer interactivity.
Task 3 helps the customer, doesn't it?
oh, I think it all does.
GIS public access website, I mean, I would agree with you, Jason, it does all help
Yes.
residents and customers, because if the staff can provide easier, better information, then that is helpful.
So I'll throw this out there, see if it floats. Make a motion that we approve the project cost to include the entire scope of the project at 73,150 through 2027, coming out of the public improvement fund. See if it floats.
You can't improper huge cost.
I think I heard you, I'm not sure, verify what I'm saying, is you can make the motion to pay it out of the fund this year, but you can't recommend a motion that carries over multiple years on,
Oh,
on your
gotcha.
motion.
I also think I think you technically just seconded that also.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, technically, yeah, but I mean, how would we word it then to make it come out for the course of that year?
You can't.
So we'd have to pay it all in one lump sum then, we would.
No, the recommendation is that you do either the 13,000 for half of the map, or the 26, which is what we suggest this year. And then each year, we would come back to you and ask for each one of those different plots. And the way that we broke it down was Caleb, or the cemetery guys, got together, and where there was the most inquiries, those are the years that we're doing them.
I was just trying to make sure that, you know, if we did want to do this entire project, that we locked in at a price that we don't have to start paying upwards of $100,000. So I guess that's where I was going with that, but the recommendation is only the 27. I guess I would be willing to amend it, but I do think it would be nice to have geomapping of all of them.
Stu? So are,
Such a motion.
yeah, so,
Yeah, I'll amend it, yeah.
okay. You're amending it to accept the 27,000 for this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll amend it.
So we need
So,
the second. I'll be.
He's just saying we need a.
okay.
So I'll support for discussion, so we're gonna do this is just for phase one. Where does the rest of it come in? Whenever we decide. Like if we do phase one now, and we agree to this now, can we say 10 years from now? I mean, the cost is subject to change, of course, but 10 years from now, we can say we just thought about it and we want to go with the rest. That's an option.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's a project where you put in the work and it can sit half done. And then we could decide this year we don't want to do it, next year we'll pick it back up again.
Okay, that
And
makes sense.
the way that this agreement is written, as we talked about a few minutes ago, they won't work until they have the go-ahead. And if we're approving year to year for the spending of it, then that makes sense.
Yeah, and out of the public improvement fund.
Stu?
This came up before. We didn't want to spend the money. Vote no,
Why?
because we don't want to spend the money.
Well, it is something that I do know that we did have quite a few that people who missed flags Memorial Day, my grandfather included.
No, there wasn't.
Yes, there was.
Well, I think that
My own grandfather.
in any case, cemeteries sit there for a real long time. And you've probably seen headstones that start to disappear into the ground and probably having, I mean, I'm not a cemetery expert, but it seems like a good idea to have that mapped with current technology, if we have it. And that's a service to people who are currently buried there and people who may in the future be buried there. And it's bringing the city up to current standards for that type of operation and management, much like we brought up the BSNA software to manage different aspects of the city. I think it's just prudent and good practice to move that up. So we do have a motion and a second to support at the full 27,000 to come
Public improvement to go with Tri-Media.
out of public improvement to go with Tri-Media.
27,600.
Pending legal.
27,600.
27,600 pending legal review.
Yes.
So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And say no also.
Yeah.
Councilmember Chapman?
Yes.
Councilmember Furby?
Yes.
Councilmember Skug?
No.
Mayor Bean?
No.
Motion passed 3-1.
Wait,
Did you say no?
yeah. What did I say just now? I said no.
You said no.
Yeah, I said no.
Oh, you said no?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Wait,
I know, it doesn't happen very often,
you
but,
changed your mind after saying that?
It was tied.
well, so I will make a motion that we accept this at the $6,900 level for tasks 1 through 3. I thought it was,
One is just the. We're only doing
It was for the 27,000 for this year, correct? Was the,
You voted for 27, on the motion for 27,000 this year.
right,
Out of the public improvement. And I
right.
think that vote ended in a tie. And so you're now offering a motion that says that you would like to cut that one to the
Yes,
first half, which is the
yes,
1,000 something as a second motion to see if that one passes.
yes.
And Kathy's over here trying to make sure she's keeping up with the motion as
Yes.
well, so.
But no,
So
that,
you're saying just for lots 45 through 66,
For the tasks 1 through 3.
but that's just for lots.
that's just for
45 through
one
66,
plot of land, plots.
6,900.
The other one was all of them.
Then I'm confused.
Can we bring,
I'm sorry.
no, can we bring that back up for a vote though? Because it's, this does the whole cemetery, not just a couple plots.
So the one we just put on was like what you were saying, but the whole thing.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to explain a little more?
Yes.
So the
I don't
20
want to agree just to agree, because I don't
So when
understand.
you buy in bulk, you get a better
It's
discount.
real good.
When you buy in bulk, you get a better discount.
Okay.
So if you spend the 27,600, you're gonna get tasks 1 through 3
For the whole
for
cemetery.
the entire cemetery. Now, if you wanted to just do one block, which would be lots 45 through 66, just tasks 1 through 3, it would be $6,900. But if you just do tasks 1 through 3 over the next 6 years, it's gonna cost more than the 27,600. So if you do it piece by piece, you're gonna spend a lot more. If you do it in the bulk, where they just go and they do the whole cemetery, tasks 1 through 3, it's gonna be the 27,600.
Okay.
Did your cemetery board look at this?
They have voted on the GISing, not on the dollar amount. Oops, sorry.
Okay. So can we redo that? Can we re-vote on that? Can there be a new motion?
I will make a motion to,
Make one.
You're only considering A, right, not B.
Only considering A.
There are two contracts here. I don't know what the difference is other than money.
The two differences are, A is if you did everything, which is the 73,150. And B,
$70,100 for all
yeah,
of it, apparently.
oh, I had it backwards, sorry. B is if you did the whole entire cemetery, 1 through 5, the whole entire cemetery, $70,100. If you go with contract A, that's where you can break it down into sections.
so if we do the entire cemetery, 1 through 3, and I want this to be accurate here because we're kind of looking like fools up here. If we do all of it, it's gonna be $26,400 for all of it, if we pay it now, 1 through 3, the entire cemetery.
I believe he said it was 27,600, contract A.
But in B, it says
I know.
I-
In B, it
26,400.
says
I know.
26,400.
I don't know, I wish he was here, but he is in a planning commission meeting for Market County tonight, so. If you guys want to postpone this for another meeting, and when you have more council members, and we'll have him actually come here,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's fine.
When we have all the,
And Ken can come in here and do it.
we can make a better decision.
even though my problem, and I'll support that, my problem with tabling it though is that the people who are already out there, you know, this should have been brought to us.
They're still, the kids that are out there are just doing training. They're not doing any monetary amount for us. He had 2 extra students lying around wanting to learn some stuff, so he had them go out and they're doing the surveying.
Okay,
Bring it up in the August meeting.
okay. Do we vote on the motion to table? Yes. Okay, there's a motion to table in support. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
We do need the technology, but I want to, yeah, you're right, it needs to be accurate.
Okay. All right, on to item number 17, which is discussion on attorney authorization to pursue various actions with courts.
So this is actually the next 2 are sort of a tandem conversation, but it's really about approach and what the direction is for how we want to manage things.
There's nothing in our packets.
No, it's a discussion. It's just a discussion. So we've been batting around the idea of ordinance changes, but we've never tested the ordinance. We don't know what the court system can do. We haven't asked the attorney to go to court and put documents through. We have people that have been given citations and may or may not have been processed fully because we don't know what the disposition is from the court. And so there's some actions that we can allow the attorney to do, but it's sort of the opposite of what we've always done, which is, I don't want to say it's an offensive action, but it's sort of an offensive versus defensive action, and that we've always been protecting ourselves from liability when someone comes with a liability suit against us, but we've never actually gone and said, hey, we want the court to hold somebody accountable because our giving them a ticket isn't
We have to, because, you know, and I'm getting more and more complaints every day that we're continuing to allow somebody to camp, you know, stay in their camper with a pit outside and everything. They're camping right in the old building supply. So, you know, we have to start giving our attorneys some authority here.
I'm not disagreeing. This is what this is about. It's a discussion. So I think that Caroline might have some things that she can add some clarity to, but in the end, we just need to figure out like what's the direction of the city? How do you want us to start shaping our processes forward as it relates to things, because it's just not been tested.
Right. I think you've, as a council, clearly authorized me to respond when someone requests a hearing or when the city is the subject of a legal action that has been filed by somebody else. In this case, under our ordinances, the city has the right to be the one filing the legal action or to request a hearing with the court instead of just allowing someone to pay a ticket and continue to violate the ordinances. And there are people who'd be happy to pay their $100 and keep violating. And so I feel that you need to separately authorize me to do that sort of thing, which would be the city initiating an action or responding by requesting a hearing. It's specifically for this blight and nuisance enforcement. There are some things that we're looking at and some properties that have been identified that we'd like to start with that we feel are within existing ordinances. And so in order to do that, I'm just requesting the additional authorization. I don't want to go and start things in the city's name without you approving.
Here's my standpoint on that. We have an excellent city attorney that has an extensive background in municipal law, and we have citizens who are maintaining their property. They're doing, you know, they're improving their property, and yet we've continued to allow troublemakers to get away with it. And we owe it to the citizens to authorize their attorney to take some action.
So my question is, how does the recommendation to pursue, to offensively pursue that, where does that recommendation come from? Does that come from the police department? Does that come from Craig? A combination?
I think a combination. It may begin with Russ going out, doing his various code enforcement activities and his inspections. There could also be a complaint written. We've had some complaint letters sent to the city manager or other city personnel. What my understanding is usually done is these things are handled initially by someone going and looking at the situation, trying to determine what should be done and trying to figure out who's responsible. Sometimes there isn't anyone living at the property, and so you do a little detective work to try and figure out who's responsible, who to contact. There are suggestions made, there can be letters written, sometimes those come from the zoning administrator as well. And people are given every encouragement along the way if it looks as though someone would be maintaining their property, but they have a barrier. They have perhaps a physical disability or some other reason that they just can't get to it, but they would like to. If they're willing to accept help, the city has actually tried to pair them up with various community groups and individuals who will help them, and there's been some progress there. We're not proposing to go after anybody like that, but there are some properties where all of that has been tried, and you get nowhere. There are properties where agreements have been made to clean up, and the people still don't do it. And so it's those properties that we're looking at. And what we'd like to do is start with one, go from there.
So would a motion, I don't even feel like we need to make this motion, but I mean, it authorizes the city attorney to enforce our ordinances.
Yes.
So, I mean, I don't feel like we need to have that motion, but if you want the motion to be made, I'll be happy to make the motion that, you know, we allow our city attorney to enforce the ordinances of the city of Ishpeming.
I think,
I mean, if that's the way we have to go, but.
I think it's a motion to authorize the city attorney to, as it's worded here, to pursue legal action in the enforcement of ordinances.
That's more what it is.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll amend it to that then, yes.
Support.
Okay, so there's a motion and support. I can't repeat that accurately.
Motion to authorize the city attorney to pursue various actions with courts based on violations of our ordinances.
To enforce ordinances.
Yeah, to enforce ordinances of
Okay.
the city of Ishpeming.
All right, Kathy, do you have that? Okay, all right, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you for bringing me at this meeting.
yes,
I really appreciate that.
okay.
So the next one is sort of step 2.
Because that
You-
incurs
You
costs.
can't, right, it does incur cost. You can't do anything for free in the courts, right? So, and then, I guess, say that, this has happened, so I'm using an example, but I'm trying not to use the specific location to make it a point of any
We'll just make
explanation,
it.
but a owner is held by the court, and then they transaction ownership,
Yes.
and it starts the process all over again. Well, it costs us to get to the point we we're at, and then we now have to start all over because it was a transaction. The person technically didn't ignore the court, they just sold the problem away. So there is potential, cost compounding. There is cost of maybe Craig's the owner, but my parent decides, well, I'll cover Craig's costs. I think we should challenge this. The city doesn't have the right to do this to my son. So we're gonna take you to court, city, and then you could have a court case that incurs costs. Or you could just have we file a motion, no one goes to court, court issues guidance, and they ignore the guidance. And then we gotta go back to court and say, hey, court, that person ignored your guidance, not the city's guidance. And you gotta file more paperwork. All of those things have.
How much?
It depends on how each case goes, Stu. One case could be a few $100s, another case could be a few $1,000s. And it depends on how the person reacts and whether they pursue.
So what's the bottom point?
I mean, I guess my recommendation is that we, in the 2023 budget, we plan for something a little larger, but maybe portion something off in this year's budget
So
just
what?
to start. So
something
maybe
this year?
something small this year, maybe 10,000, just to apportionment, and then look at maybe something larger for next year, 50, 100,000. Just put in a line of accounting that's not touched, like
How
sits
much?
there. 50 to 100,000. You're putting it into, you can change that. You asked me a recommendation. You asked me a recommendation, but you're gonna have different levels of things that come up related to this problem, whether it's blight or whether it's attorney actions or what. So let's say, for instance, let's say somebody has a yard full of trash and a vehicle, and they put it behind a fence that's not supposed to be there, and they've been told they have to clean it up, and then the court says, yep, you're held to cleaning it up, and then they ignore the order. Well, the city says, we want permission to go clean it up. Well, now I gotta go rent a piece of equipment, because I'm not gonna let my guys pick it up with their hands, because who knows what's in it. So I gotta grab a grappling attachment for skid steer or something. And now I've just rented a piece of equipment. I have to put it in a dumpster. I have to pay for a dumpster. Now it's gonna go back on their taxes. It's gonna go back. We may not see it for a little while, but that money could deplete very quickly. You can choose whatever number you want. You asked me for a number to throw something out. I threw something out. I think that there's gonna be a point at which we have to start planning to have a budget that's built around managing blight.
Oh, I agree.
And we just have to figure out where that starting point is. You could start at 10,000, you could start at 5,000.
So I'd be willing to make a motion to amend this year's budget to include $5,000 for the attorney to pursue actions in term, for blight. But, and I guess, I don't know if this would have to be a second motion or if it can be included in this, but to have a committee meet with the city attorney to kind of establish what would be appropriate for next year. I think that's where we need to go with this. I don't want to throw out $50,000 or $100,000. I would much rather authorize $5,000 to pursue what we're doing this year, but have a committee meet with the city attorney to establish kind of some ground rules and where we go from here.
I think that's a great idea. And I think what Craig was talking about in terms of having to go in and do some cleanup or perhaps hire a contractor to go in and do some cleanup. I think we've all looked at it and said, isn't there a way to get that back for the city? And I think if we are successful in doing that, which with some of these properties, I just promise you we never will be. There are going to be those properties where we're not successful. But those funds, if we can do that, you might set up a line item or something where those funds go back in to that. Sure, I'd be very willing to try and work with.
Committee.
Yeah. Great.
So I don't know if we had support for that, but I will support that. And my other question is so it's set at $5,000. If we came back and say this first action is successful, and we get to the point where some contractor action is required, could that come back? That could come back to us. It's not so time sensitive. I wouldn't think that it would, if we exceeded that $5,000, that you couldn't come back and say, we've exceeded the $5,000. This is what we plan to do.
And then my only question is, since the budget we're talking for this year for 2022, right? So since that budget is already figured out, what's that $5,000 coming?
I would imagine that's the general fund at this point, since it's not.
And that's why I just don't feel comfortable authorizing any more than that until we kind of establish, you know, what we're gonna do, and I think that's where the committee comes in.
Is that all? Good with you?
Yeah, no, I wanted to start the discussion.
Okay.
You asked me to throw something on, I threw something out to keep the discussion going. I
Yeah,
hope that
sure.
I sparked the dialogue and.
Okay, so we have a motion to create a line item for up to, but not to exceed $5,000 for this year to support that attorney action
And the formation of a committee.
and the formation of a committee
Yes,
for a recommendation for next year.
yes.
Okay, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay,
Your Honor, I would like to be on that committee,
okay.
if you so choose.
Is there anyone else who wants to be on that committee? Diz, I think I saw, did your hand go up?
Oh, no.
He's pointing at Pat.
Oh, Pat.
Pat?
Oh, okay.
That
He's
would be,
pointing,
honestly.
he's pointing to the missing.
No, I think, you know, if Diz doesn't want to, and I see Stu doesn't, I think that might be a good opportunity for Pat and I to work
Okay.
together if he's interested.
Okay, we can ask Pat. Or just assign him. That's what,
There you go, yeah.
yeah, okay.
Hey, can I say
Please.
something on this?
Yes, please do.
I would like to be on that committee too, because we got a lot of unsafe buildings in town.
That's highly appropriate.
Sounds good. So it sounds like it will be Jason, Pat, and Jason.
Yeah, I think actually, Jason, that is an excellent idea for the fire chief to be with that, yes.
Excellent. Okay. So that will move us along to item number 20, which is old business. Diz, do you have any old business? Stu?
Channel 189.
Yes.
Yes, so channel 189 pieces of equipment are on the bench, being bench test downstate, and as soon as they are completely bench test, they'll be shipped up here, installed, and then they have to go through the spectrum test. But they are purchased, they are on the bench being tested.
Jason, do you have old business? Okay, I have no old business. Craig, do you have any old business?
No, for the sake of time.
Okay. New business. Do you have any new business? Okay. Stu, new business?
No.
I don't. Craig?
I do. So Karen Casper and I are going to be meeting next week. Is it next week?
The 11th.
The 11th. So we will be inviting some folks that have some knowledge of history and starting to kind of formulate a plan so that we can bring back an idea of formulating a committee to begin the 150th anniversary of the city of Ishpeming and the 150th anniversary of the fire department, which is next year. So, and Jason Anala has already been asked to participate, and so we'll be getting that out shortly to invite folks. But the initial thing is just to get some ideas on the wall and start that discussion, and then shape it a little bit before we bring it to council to figure out what the guidance might be from the council. But two very significant times in history, both the anniversary of the city and the fire department.
I would actually love to help out with that as a person who loves history. I would love to help out.
And then the senior center is nearing completion. We're rolling into the final, the accordion door is supposed to be coming in, the accordion wall that separates one of the rooms in half is finally in with the subcontractor, and their intent is to install the 13th and 14th.
How about the kitchen?
And the kitchen is being worked through the public health department process. One of the concerns was the ceiling, because it looks like acoustic drop tile ceiling. We got verification that it's not. It is in fact FDA approved ceiling. So that's getting added into the packet. And then, I get the lady that runs the Uber Goddess. She has gone over and has asked to see if she can participate in some way with the center director to help with the food. She likes to help with food, and she likes to help with cooking for those folks. And so she's actually helping them to formulate some menus that can be submitted as part of that plan to the health department. They have occupancy, that's not a problem. It's just a matter of certifying the kitchen going forward. So that is not a cost item or a construction item. It's just a finalization for the center and the center's work group. But the last item that will remain after the accordion wall is one gutter relocation, and that is scheduled, but the materials are not in yet. So it's just waiting for that material to arrive before they can get out there. And that's, I forget the name of that firm for that stuff, but then we should be at the end of our punch list items. So senior center is almost done. I think that's it.
Thanks. Any new business?
None.
Okay. Then we'll move on to our second public comment, which is limited to 3 minutes per person. Jason, is there anyone on Zoom?
We got no one.
Okay. Is there anyone in the room for public comment? Okay. There's none. Then we will move on to mayor and council reports. We'll go this way. Jason, do you have anything?
Yeah. First, I'd just like to say I've heard some very, very positive things on the tours by Karen Casper. So there were some folks that contacted me to say how fun that was for them. And so thank you, Karen, for continuing to do that. Thank you to the 4th of July committee, all of the volunteers and that put that together. What a wonderful parade. You know, thank you to everybody who helped decorate all the floats, everything. You know, our fire department looked wonderful. Police department looked great, showing our city off. And then, you know, no absentee voting is going on now. So, what?
Oh,
yeah. Well, thank you to the city manager for decorating our float as well. But yeah, no absentee voting, no reason absentee voting is going on right now. So please make sure you vote before August 2nd. You know, make sure your voice is heard. It's your most important civic duty as an American to vote.
Stu? Nothing? Liz?
I would just echo Councilmember Chapman. Thank you to all the volunteers for making 4th of July a success. It looked a little different this year than it did in the past, but I still think it was pretty successful. And also, thank you to everyone who was involved with the Gus Macker. That was a super successful event as well, and I know a lot of work went into that. Brought a lot of people to town. That's about it.
And I guess I will continue to echo the events. The 4th of July events were fantastic. The Gus Macker is fantastic. There's been a lot of good music down on Main Street on Thursdays and other nights. I think I saw you were part of the Blue Notes.
Welcome back, Blue Notes.
Yes, so there's just been a lot of exciting things going on. I know I've eaten a lot of ice cream in the past 2 weeks. So yeah, just lots of good things going on, lots of good momentum, and lots of people involved in making those things happen, and having people come and attend and do those things. And he just stepped out, but I believe that this is the first meeting that Chad has attended as the chief of police. And so when he returns, maybe we can all clap for him or something, and it'll be.
I do have to say, I got over a dozen comments about how happy citizens are that Chad is our new chief of police. I was very, very pleasantly surprised that so many people wanted to reach out and say how happy they are that he's their chief of police. So.
Well, congratulations to Chad, and we'll say that when he comes back in.
Just randomly clap when he comes back in.
Yep. And I, lost whatever train of thought I had, so we'll move on from there. to manager's report. Oh,
You'll have to watch Zoom.
You have to watch Zoom to hear all the comments, but-
Why are the claps, but.
Yeah.
So I don't want to beat a dead horse, but I do want to recognize some folks. So the Gus Macker didn't happen without a lot of volunteers, but it also happened because the DPW was out in force helping where volunteers were not available. They stepped up and helped. The Festival of Treasures, which was not mentioned, was awesome. 30 vendors downtown. We had to pull people together with a police officer and push a vehicle off the street because it broke down the night before. I mean, just people just came in and helped with everything. The 4th of July was a maddening ordeal between the Empire Street being closed already, the not sure what trail signs are closed because the Iron Heritage Trail had some detours, the city had detours, and the Public Works got up at 6 a.m. on that morning. Police were out early and keeping runners safe on the road. And then the police were in the park and doing things. Police were over at the ball fields helping to control things and make sure things were good. Just everybody came out in force. The fireworks went off without a hitch this year, all digitally fired for the first time. Last year, there was a concern with a 2020 firework issue and people were manually igniting, so we fixed that. And there will be another after action review next week to kind of tone it down. But I think one of the biggest takeaways this year was the police department and our new police chief recommended a change to managing traffic after the 4th fireworks. In the past, we've had our vehicles, Negaunee vehicles, sheriff department vehicles, other vehicles on the highway at the intersection of Hickory and 41, trying to slow down traffic that's coming up the highway while letting traffic come off of Hickory Street into the highway. And there's been some very close near misses, potential for damage to vehicles and worse, loss of life. And so this year we diverted all traffic over to 2nd/Prairie/Deer Lake Road, and they all dumped onto the traffic circle. Not one single asset was placed in harm's way or in a roadway, and it only took us 10 extra minutes based on past records to clear that traffic. So
well done. That'll
be the new method going forward for sure. It's safer, it's protective, and it's looking out for our people and our law enforcement folks. So wonderful opportunities to improve. 2 new managers in that process of managing things this year and everything. The public, the outward-facing public didn't see issues for the most part. It was probably just people working behind the scenes that felt like there was something that they needed to tweak, but very well done. And then we should thank Fox Negaunee for the loaner vehicle for our parade float. That was very generous of them to allow us to do that. And Jim Grumstrom, their commercial person, was here today to say that his folks all saw the vehicle. They thought it looked great in the parade, and they picked it up and let us know that it was a great opportunity for them to support us. So that's all I got.
Oh, how about our Grand Marshal?
Well, our Grand Marshal was great. We secured a contract. We secured a contract early and made sure that the Ski Hall of Fame in our town recognized a future Hall of Famer. He did a podcast with some folks, and it all went very well. And the crowd at the picnic that saw him afterwards for autographs and photos was fantastic. And I think many people thought that the picnic following the 4th of July was the best they'd seen in many, many years. So well done there. And thanks to all of our vendors that support that.
thanks. Lots of good stuff.
Positive stuff, yes.
And Caroline.
I can't top that. Nothing further. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll support. We vote? I can never remember.
We vote.
All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
What?
No, he's not opposed.
I'm okay, yes. Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Meeting is adjourned.
All right, thank you, Jason. Thanks, everyone.